Hello students, LFHP Kankavli College, Kankavli. Assistant Teacher Mahadeshwar MV. Students, up to the last lecture we have completed the part of 1.1 An Astrologer's Day, title discussion, icebreakers and introduction. Today we are going to deal with passage number 1. So make yourself and your textbooks ready. First of all, I will read the first passage. It is starting from punctually at midday he opened his bag and end up with page number 3. He deserved the wages he carried home at the end of a day. Are you ready? Here am I going for reading. An Astrologer's Day. Punctually at midday, he opened his bag and spread out his professional equipment, which consisted of a dozen cowrie shells, a square piece of cloth with obscure mystic charts on it, a notebook, and a bundle of palmyra writing. His forehead was resplendent with sacred ash and vermilion, and his eyes sparkled with a sharp, abnormal gleam, which was really an outcome of a continual searching look for customers, but which his simple clients took to be a prophetic light and felt comforted. The power of his eyes was considerably enhanced by their position, placed as they were between the painted forehead and the dark whiskers which streamed down his cheeks. Even a half-wit's eyes would sparkle in such a setting. To crown the effect, he wore a saffron-colored turban around his head. This colour scheme never failed. People were attracted to him as bees are attracted to cosmos or dahlia stalks. He sat under the boughs of a spreading tamarind tree which flanked a path running through the town hall park. It was a remarkable place in many ways. A surging crowd was always moving up and down this narrow road from morning till night. A variety of trades and occupations was represented all along its way. Medicine sellers, sellers of stolen hardware and junk, magicians, and above all, an auctioneer of cheap clothes who created enough din all day to attract the whole town. Next to him, in vociferousness, came a vendor of fried groundnut, who gave his wear a fancy name each day, calling it Bombay ice cream one day, and on the next Delhi almond, and on the third Raja's delicacy, and so on and so forth. And people flocked to him. A considerable portion of this crowd dallied before the astrologer too. The astrologer transacted his business by the light of a flare which crackled and smoked up above the groundnut heap nearby. Half the enchantment of the place was due to the fact that it did not have the benefit of municipal lighting. The place was lit up by shop lights. One or two had hissing gas lights. Some had naked flares stuck on poles. Some were lit up by old cycle lamps, and one or two, like the astrologer, managed without lights of their own. It was a bewildering crisscross of light rays and moving shadows. This suited the astrologer very well, for the simple reason that he had not in the least intended to be an astrologer when he began life, and he knew no more of what was going to happen to others than he knew what was going to happen to himself next minute. He was as much a stranger to the stars as were his innocent customers. Yet he said things which pleased and astonished everyone. That was more a matter of study, practice, and shrewd guesswork. All the same, it was as much an honest man's labor as any other, and he deserved the wages he carried home at the end of a day. Just now I have completed the reading of first passage. Now we are going to deal with the vocabulary section. Here it is. Cowrie, a sea animal. Obscure, difficult to understand. Mystic, something that relates to supernatural powers and is not easily understood. Palmyra, a kind of palm. Resplendent, bright, dazzling and impressive. Enhance, increase. This is the vocabulary part of page number 2, that portion. Yes, it was related to this. Now we are going to deal with line by line explanation of this particular passage. As my students are familiar with this method, you are happy to having continuity of the same method this year. Students, we are going to deal with actual line by line, such a kind of explanation. Where it is important, I will mention you the activities immediately. Just you have to do one thing, you have to just note down that, or at the end of this video you can do that. Means I think you are going through this video many times, so you can take it out. Also I have given the photograph of the activity section, so you can easily understand which activities we discuss and which activities we are going to deal with. So do you understand, student? Shall we start actual explanation? Considering your yes, we are going to deal with the first line. Punctually at midday, he opened his bag and spread out his professional equipment, which consisted of a dozen cowrie shells, a square piece of cloth with obscure mystic charts on it, a notebook, and a bundle of Palmyra writing. This is the very first line. So very easy activity they could ask you at the very first. It is mentioned that our astrologer was very punctual because he was opening his job at daily basis at particular time. So they could ask you the activity about the time of his starting of a job. What is each and every day, at which timing he was starting his job. And that's the answer, at midday. So the first activity is done with the explanation. Second activity they could ask you in the same line, and that is, yes, you rightly guessed, that is about professional equipment. For this, they can use the format of wave chart. You know the wave formatting of the activity? Last year we have gone through that in detail. So at the heart they could give you the term professional equipment, and you have to surround it by the answers. The very first answer is a dozen cowrie shells. Second answer would be a square piece of cloth with obscure mystic charts on it. Obscure means not easy to understand. Mystic means already that is mentioned in vocabulary, that was related to supernatural. Charts on it, that would be your second answer. Third one, a notebook to note down all the details of the customer or client, and a bundle of Palmyra writing. To make you or to give you clarity related it, or make you clear the ideas what is meant by cowrie shells or the chart or the Palmyra, I will show you some of the images. This is the first cowrie shells, and that is called a sea animal. This is the second, cloth filled with obscure mystic charts. So you can find out the variety in that. You could find out the Kundali picture. Some of the astrologers are having that on cloth, some are having on wood. This is the next part, that Palmyra writing. Here you can see at back the palm trees. Here you could see at this part the actual description of it. What is meant by Palmyra writing? Palmyra writing is written on the palm leaf. To clear this concept, I will show you some more images of Palmyra writing. This is here. This is called Palmyra writing. So he was having the bundle of Palmyra writing. Yes, so our astrologer was looking like this. Means not exactly the same, but you can find out the professional equipment surrounded to him. Here you can see that mystic charts and all, the notebooks, and he was telling something to his customer. So do you understand the answer with the help of all the images? Now the next part. We are dealing with the next part. Up to now I wanted to revise. First one, we have deal with the time of starting of a job at daily basis. Second activity we have completed, professional equipment, and this part which is highlighted over here is based on his personality traits. What kind of personality trait of his, or and added to it, what kind of impact or influence he was doing on his clients. Means here you will get both the answers, his total personality trait or personality, and the impact or influence on his client. In what way we have to deal with this activity, I will explain that, but first of all the line by line explanation I will deal here. Go with that. His forehead was resplendent with sacred ash and vermilion, and his eyes sparkled with a sharp abnormal gleam, which was really an outcome of a continuous searching look for customers, but which his simple clients took to be a prophetic light and felt comforted. Here you would get two descriptions. The first description is related to his forehead, and second one that is related to his eyes. We are concentrating first on forehead. His forehead was resplendent. In the vocabulary section they have mentioned the meaning of it, that is bright. Resplendent, his forehead was looking resplendent. Why? Because of the two things. So your activity is ready, that for completion task they could ask you this. Resplendent with what? First answer sacred ash, and second one is vermilion. Secondly, I will explain further what is meant by vermilion through the images, but let me tell you what kind of feeling is there. Vermilion, that is very sacred thing in Hindu culture. Secondly, this is about forehead. Secondly, we are going with his eyes. His eyes sparkle with, means they were shining with a sharp abnormal gleam, a kind of different sharp abnormal rays were there, feeling was there, which was really an outcome of a continual searching look for customers. Actually that sharp abnormal gleam was because of which feeling? Because he was continuously searching for his clients or customers. But on the customers it is having different impact or influence. For the customers, that particular sharp abnormal gleam is because of what or why? Because of he is a kind of the prophetic man. His eyes were prophetic, having prophetic light, and because of that they started to feel comfortable. So see that here again I am repeating, actually His eyes are carrying sharp abnormal gleam, and the real reason behind was he was continuously searching for his clients or customers. But for his customers or clients, it was not because of that. They started to feel that he is very prophetic person, he is having knowledge about prophecy, and because of that they started to feel comfortable. So here we have dealt with forehead and eyes. Furthermore, eyes description is given. The power of his eyes was considerably enhanced, means increased, by what? By their position. And what was their position? They have given clarification on that further. Placed as they were between the painted forehead and the dark whiskers which streamed down his cheeks. So everything I will explain later. Miss Vermilion, what's meant by that? I will show you some of the images. Let me tell you about this first. The position. The power of his eyes was enhanced because of their position. And what was the position of his eyes? They were exactly placed between the painted forehead. His forehead was painted with, yes, sacred ash and vermilion, and the dark whiskers which streamed down his cheeks. Stream down means what? They are carrying or leading towards his cheeks. Such a kind of whiskers he was having. Even, see that, what a remark given by R.K. Narayan here. Even a half-wit's eyes would sparkle in such a setting. He is making ironic comment on the astrologer here. Half-wit, what that mean? I think if you remember in the very first, second lecture, we have gone through the clarification of section 1.1, what kind of values we have to get from that topic, and there was the mentioning of wit, and I have given detailed explanation of wit. So if you remember, you can easily get the meaning. But for the newcomers who have not gone through that, I repeat the particular meaning. Wit means what? Having intelligence, or by knowing that when to talk and which thing I should talk, which statement I should do. So suppose it is not, means if a person is not having witty trait, or he is not being witty, even that also, suppose he is having such a kind of setting or such a kind of personality, having such a kind of sparkling eyes, whiskers, and that painted forehead, definitely he could look witty. This is called setting. So this much we have gone through. Do you understand? Second one, to crown the effect. The term is mentioned over here. To crown the effect. What that means? This is one term. And here word usage. Word usage means to crown the effect is a kind of phrase. Here it is mentioned to crown the effect. To crown ... There are so many other additions to that, and in exercise part of the same topic it is given. We will go in detail manner, but at that moment. So to crown the effect, and let me tell you what's the meaning of to crown the effect, only of that word's meaning. To crown the word means what? To heighten that. For example, we are saying that cherry on the cake. This cake is delicious, no doubt, but the toppest of that. So no doubt here his forehead was looking very resplendent. His eyes were having right position, and also whiskers were there to enhance that particular sparkling area. And top of that, what's there in his hand? Yes, what was that? To crown the effect, he owned a saffron colored turban around his head. What was that? Turban. And what's the color of it? Saffron. It was saffron color turban around his head. And what's the impact of it? That is the answer mentioned over here. There are two kinds of impact. I will go in detail, but let me complete this line. This color scheme never failed. People were attracted to him as like what? As bees are attracted to cosmos or dahlia stalks, as if the bees are going towards the flowers, no? In the same manner, his clients are being attracted towards him. So here there is simile, the poetic device is mentioned. I mentioned that is irony, that he wanted to make a laugh or such a kind of irony from the sense. Similarly, this is again poetic device, simile, comparison is made. No doubt there is nothing any kind of similarity, but they are having two different things are here directly compared. Which are these two things? People and the bees. As if bees are attracting towards cosmos or Dahlia, people are attracted towards our astrologer. So do you understand this much? Now, what kind of activities they could ask you? First one, they could ask you the personality trait or describe the personality. Directly the straightforward activity could be describe the personality of an astrologer. Or they could ask you complete the table. How they could ask you that? Forehead, it was becoming resplendent. Just only remember the keywords: forehead, resplendent, and because of what? Sacred ashen vermilion. Then eyes, which feeling it was carrying? Sparkling with a sharp abnormal gleam. What was the reason behind it? An outcome of what it is? Continuous searching look for customers. But what is the impact? Yes, this is answer of influence. The influence of his eyes, or especially that factor on him, on the customers or client, was that they started to feel that his eyes are carrying prophetic light, and they started to feel comfortable. That is the first impact. And later on they mentioned the impact that directly went down, that what that this color scheme never failed. People were attracted to him as bees up to star. This is the impact. Okay, separately they could ask you such a kind of activity, or they could intermingle that, mention that particular organ and the impact, what kind of feeling was inside. So here eyes, that is clear. Later on his the power of his eyes was having enhancement. How? And because of what? Because of their position. They place it where? Exactly between the painted forehead and the dark whiskers which stream down, carrying towards what, or going towards or leading towards his cheeks. And suppose what the ironic comment made by our R.K. Narayan, the author, that even suppose a fool or a half-wit eye, means the person who is not having that much intelligence, suppose he is having such a kind of setting of his personality, definitely anybody could carrying on or inviting his clients, or he can definitely attract the attention of the people. To crown the effect, to heighten that effect, what was there? He has turban, and that was of saffron color, and this total color scheme was not having failure, and hence all the people are attracted towards him as if bees are attracted towards flowers. So do you understand this whole? To give you the whole clarity, I will show you the images. By that way, you will have the recap. Yes, the very first word that related forehead, vermilion. Can you see? Now I think you got the clear picture of vermilion. And here you could get both the images, means the image of vermilion and the particular man whose forehead is painted with the same sacred ash is also there, and vermilion is also painted. Second one, that is whiskers. So here you can find out the image of an astrologer. Not the same, obviously. How could I find that? But yes, that one image I bring that for you. Whiskers. So at right side of yours you could get the image of different sorts or styles of whiskers. The last one, let me mark it. This one, we are talking about such a kind of whisker which is having by our astrologer. And also, have you marked that particular vermilion? And also that is turban. For turban, I have one more image, because here there is not saffron color. Exactly, I will show you what's meant by saffron color. So do you understand what's meant by Whiskers? Yeah, turban. So here they have given clarification. Turban, what's that meaning? You can read that letter. Vermilion, it is painted, and also you can get clear image of turban here. And at the left side, the second image at the bottom, you will get the saffron color, the cloth here visible, that is of saffron color. So he was wearing the turban of saffron color. Now we are leading towards next line. Be ready for it. He sat under the boughs of spreading tamarind tree, which flank a path running through the town hall park. He sat under. They would ask you what was the placement or what was the place of his job. So you should write under the boughs, means what? Branches of tamarind. All of you know that tamarind tree, which flank a path running through the town hall park. So flank a path is one term, and to give you the clear idea of it, I will show you the image of the meanings. Yeah, here. Flanking a path. Actually, as like to crown the effect, such a kind of this word is. Means word usage. You should remember these two words for vocabulary section under the title word usage. The first one, crown, to crown the effect, and second one, that is flanking. So we can have flanking a path, flanking a sound, and here at right side you will get flanking an enemy. So flanking is starting, and later on such a kind of different terms are there. Let me tell you what is meant by flanking. So I will read that. Flanking is a misunderstood and underappreciated problem in noise control construction design. It occurs when noise becomes structure borne and finds a route around an isolated surface called a flanking path. Flanking paths can also occur in double stirred and stagger stirred wall assemblies. This particular, suppose you can't understand what's the meaning of this, let me tell you a very clear explanation, that you can imagine the marketplace where you are having the particular tree and you are sitting under that and you are surrounded by the noise. Is it? So where means you will get the particular tree and it is surrounded by noise. So it is what? Flanking a path. Let me tell you, in our village, Kankavli. Yeah. Do you remember the particular location, Dalkati? Yes. How was that? And how it is placed? There is one tree and there are some vendors also, or sellers are also there. And if you observe, three roads are coming from that. At left side, right side, front, back. So there are different roads. They are going towards different directions. So if you are standing under that particular tree, you are surrounded by what? The noise, flanking a path. Let me clear the same idea by using another meaning of it. Flanking an enemy means attacking from one or more sides at an angle to the enemy's direction of engagement. One type is employed in an ambush where a unit performs a surprise attack from a concealed position. The flanking force then advances to the enemy flank and attacks them at close range. So you are standing over there, means that our astrologer was sitting under that tamarind tree, and each and every road which was nearer or coming towards that direction was completely filled with the crowd. That reference will come towards latter. Here enemy, not we are inviting the enemy in this text, but in textual meaning, when I will read the next line, you could understand that why that place was important for him. He was surrounded by roads, he was surrounded by noise, and because of that, welcoming of client was very easy to him. Why? The answer is in the next line. So shall we go for the next? Here it is. It was a remarkable place in many ways. it was called, means that town hall park or the sitting arrangement of that man was having the term remarkable place. So they would ask you that the reason behind it, why it was called remarkable place. So in many ways that was remarkable. A surging crowd was always moving up and down this narrow road from morning till night. That was the main reason. What was that? Yes, all the time. You know that astrologer needs crowd, because if there is crowd, then only he will get his expected clients or customers. So yes, exactly, that particular position of him was right to his occupation or his job, that yes, it was the total or clear invitation for that crowd from morning till the night. And you will find out the variety of trades and occupations too. How much? That much variety of trades and occupation, that much larger crowd. And that's why again it is said, yes, it was remarkable place. So they could ask you reasoning, so you have to write such a kind of explanation. Furthermore, what kind of variety in trades and occupation was there? First of all, medicine sellers were there. Next one, sellers of stolen hardware and junk. Magicians also were there. And above all means what? This is the term used here to heighten the importance of that, an auctioneer of cheap clothes. Here, author wanted to heighten the status of auctioneer of cheap clothes. Why? Because he created enough, the means noise, all day to attract the whole town. So who is attracting the main attention of his customers? Auctioneer of cheap clothes. No doubt medicine sellers were there, sellers of stolen hardware and junk, magicians were also there. But who were heightening the noise level? First one, that is an auctioneer of cheap clothes. And why it was said he was the creator of the noise? It is clearly mentioned that all the time from morning to night he was creating such a deal, and the reason is because of that the whole town can attract towards him. Second one, next to him in vociferousness came a vendor of fried groundnut. So there are two elements of the noise or creators. First one, just now I mentioned auctioneer. Second one is who? A vendor of fried groundnut, who gave his ware a fancy name each day. So I will definitely coming back to it, but let me have that half complete, because I wanted to focus on the first characters, which are medicine sellers, sellers of stolen hardware, and junk magicians, and above all that reference. So I will show you the images. Yeah, first one, they could ask you the activity, mention the variety of trades and occupations. For this they could use the wave format also. Either they could ask you straightforward activity, or they could ask you wave. At the heart they could give you the wording variety of trades and occupations. So surrounded by which answers? First one, medicine sellers. Second one, magicians. You could see the image of that. And lastly, here you could get the image, sellers of what? Hardware and junk. So here you could get hardware, what kind of that, junk, what kind of that. So these are the images over here. Next to, yes, who are the creators of the noise in great deal. So there are two person mentioned over here. First one, auctioneer of what? Cheap clothes. You could get the image. And second one, vendor of fried groundnut. Are you getting here? Auctioneer of, yes, cheap clothes. And second one, that is what? Vendor of fried groundnut. I think you get clear idea of medicine sellers, sellers of stolen hardware and junk, magicians, and above all, who were the creators of great din or noise, an auctioneer of cheap clothes, who created enough din all day to attract the whole town. And second one, that the vociferousness came a vendor of fried ground nut. Here definitely I will mention how to utter vociferousness, the particular word, because already they have mentioned the meaning of it at right side, that is being loud and noisy. So who is becoming too much loud and noisy? So by these two words, vociferousness, which is related to fried groundnut, and created enough din, by these two words you can understand the great creator of the din or noise were two persons, an auctioneer and second one, that is fried groundnut. How to utter the word vociferousness? I will definitely mention the show you that how to utter vociferousness, but let me complete the actual line first. Here came a vendor of fried groundnut, and what the speciality of that? He had given different names to his ware. Ware, if you remember in icebreakers discussions, I'll mention clearly what is meant by ware. Ware means the particular material or good which is for selling, which is carried by that particular vendor, merchant or shopkeeper. That selling good or selling material is called ware. So obviously, what is the selling ware of that vendor of fried groundnut? Yes, it is answer itself, fried groundnut. So all the time he was offering different fancy names to it. Someday he was calling it Bombay ice cream, someday he was calling it Delhi almond, and someday he is calling that Raja's delicacy, and so on and so forth. By this term, so on and so forth, you could get the feeling that each and every time he was presenting his the same ware in different manner and attractive manner. And you know that if you are having talkative mouth, you are surrounded by friends and people. Similarly, what the impact of his talking? People flocked to him. Flock means he was having surrounding or good gathering of the people around him. A considerable portion of this crowd dallied before the astrologer too. And obviously, who is getting the advantage of that? We can call it free advantage of it. Astrologer. Because of all these vendors or traders or occupationals, he was getting the advantage of the crowd which is dallied before. Dallied, which is given over there, wasted time just hanging around in, or in some other term we can call it fooling the time or passing the time in front of astrologer. So in short, astrologer was also getting good amount of client. So now I will tell you how to utter vociferousness. I will show you the particular video related that, which is audio video. I have taken that from YouTube. If you wanted to go in deeper manner, you can actually go to that particular link and you can search over it. So be ready for it. Please listen this very carefully.
Vociferousness. 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 Vociferousness.
I think all of you have listened the utterance of vociferousness clearly. Now we are dealing with the next part of the same passage. Up to now we have seen that the crowd also pulling around the astrologer. He was also getting good number of customers. Here now you will get the arrangement of light around him. The astrologer transacted his business by the light of a flare which crackle and smoke up above the groundnut heap nearby. Half the enchantment of the place was due to the fact that it did not have the benefit of municipal lightning. The place was lit up by shop lights. One or two had hissing gas lights, some had naked flares stuck on poles, some were lit up by old cycle lamps, and one or two, like the astrologer, managed without lights of their own. It was a bewildering crisscross of light rays and moving shadows. So, this total part is surrounded with one idea, that is light arrangement. What kind of different light sources were there? That they could ask you in the format of wave, or they could ask you to complete the table, or in straight way they could ask you that mention the light sources, light arrangement, in that manner. So, the first one, the astrologer transacted his business by what? The light of a flare which crackle and smoke up above the groundnut heap nearby. So, I definitely mention what's meant by flare here. Flare, I will show you that particular image. So, that flare was coming from the crackle and smoke up. That how was that? Crackle and smoke up above groundnut heap nearby. Second element is the enchantment. Half the enchantment of the place was due to the fact. Why there was enchantment? Enchantment, here it is given the meaning magical effect or charm. So definitely I will show you the image and clarify what's meant by enchantment. So enchantment means what? Magical effect or charm. So they could ask you the activity. Why in that particular year or at that location there was such a kind of enchantment, magical effect or charm was? It was only because of the fact that there was no any kind of arrangement of municipal lightning. So what kind of light sources were there? They could ask you. The first one, that is, yes, that is of shop lights. Second one or two had. Who are these one or two? That means vendors. Already we have seen different traders and occupationals where they know. So they one or two are having hissing gas lights. I will definitely show you what's meant by hissing gas lights. Some had naked flares stuck on poles. So some other vendors are having naked flares stuck on poles, that arrangement. Some were lit up by old cycle lamps. You know that old cycles were having lamps, means not actually, but we can arrange that lamp to that cycle. And one or two, like whom our astrologer, manage without lights of their own. How could they manage? As like astrologer, he was not having of himself, but he was using the light, that crackle and smoky light of whose? Yes, that is of whose? The vendor of fried groundnut. So do you understand the particular discussion and the clarification? I once again repeat the meaning in short and activities too, and I will mention again all the meanings through the help of images. The astrologer transacted his business by, yes, the light of flare which crackle and smoke up above the groundnut heap nearby. Half the enchantment was there. Why? Because there was no municipal light, just only different sorts of lights were there. First one of that was shop lights. Second one, hissing gas lights. Some of naked flares stuck on poles, and some are having old cycle lamps. And some vendors like astrologers, they are having what? They manage without lights of their own. And because of all different kinds of lights, what happened? What was the result? It was a bewildering crisscross of light rays and moving shadows. Bewildering, they have mentioned it itself, confusing or baffling. You know that suppose different sorts of lights are coming together, different kind of light mode will be there. I give you one simple example. Suppose electricity is gone at the night time. So what we have to do? In each room we have to lit the candle. So you know that in that particular candle at bedroom you will get different kinds of light mode. So that enchantment, a kind of different magical effect is carrying on. Suppose you are having that at living room, that different candle is lighting up over there, or at the kitchen. So by that way you could get, if all the lights which are coming from bedroom or living room or kitchen, you will get different kinds of or different kind of light arrangement. So because of this is called confusing crisscross of light rays and moving shadows. I think we are playing in that also, in such a kind of enchanted place. So to give you clear image of all particular all the explanation, I will show you the image. Be ready with. Yeah, here it is. We first of all talk about, have your textbook in front of, huh? Don't be lazy and don't be sleepy. Don't be sleepy. Yeah, we first of all talk about what our astrologer was transacting his business, where with the help of which light? Yes, the light of a flare which crackle and smoke up above the groundnut heap nearby. So can you see that particular vendor which is selling fried groundnut, and to fry these he has to get such a kind of arrangement, and you will get the smoke over here. So below that you will get the stove which is having the fire and which is having flare like this. Are you getting what's meant by flare? And at this corner you are getting the meaning of it. Flare, to burn for a short time with a sudden bright flame, or you are getting sudden bright light or flame, a thing that produces a bright light or flame, used especially as a signal. So this is called flare. Have you got, students? Enchantment. Can you feel it, students? If it is festive time, or I think you have visited fair night, at that moment different kinds of lighting can be visible and you are enjoying that. So no doubt that is night, but because of different kinds of light or lightning mode, you would enjoy that. This is what magical effect or charm. So we can call it the examples of enchantment. Next one, as I mentioned before, they could ask you the activities, what kind of light sources were there. So first one, that light which was coming from shops. Second source, can you see the naked flares on the poles, the poles which are having flares? I will highlight that for you. Here, here, I think you can easily get that. Yes, that is the third one, hissing gas lights. One that is traditional at the left, and at a side by you will get gas light. So you can get the meaning of it, on which things that gas light can be can be had by us, or we are having that, in which different forms. Fourth was there that old cycle lamps. So can you see, from such a kind of lamps they are getting light also. And because of all such a kind of different arrangement of light, What was the impact? It was mentioned, it was bewildering crisscross of light rays and moving shadows. So here you could get grills or something is there, and because of that because of different rays you are getting different kinds of shadows. Yes, and crisscross kind of lightning. I mentioned the exact and family example to you. That is, suppose electricity is not there, what would happen? At right side you would get the image where leaves are there, and one's leaf or the group of one leaves that having the shadow on another leaves. So such a kind of bewildering, confusing it is, bewildering crisscross of light rays and moving shadows could be visible because of all this such a kind of different lights. So have you got exact mood of that line, students? Shall we go for the next part? Here it is. What is in that? This is the last part of our passage, and you would get the connectivity with previous. Bewildering crisscross of light rays and moving shadows. That up to now we have seen what kind of light arrangement was there. So what was the impact of that light system or arrangement on astrologer? This suited the astrologer very well, for the simple reason that he had not in the least intended to be an astrologer when he began life, and he knew no more of what was going to happen to others than he knew what was going to happen to himself next minute. He was as much a stranger to the stars as were his innocent customers. Yet he said things which pleased and astonished everyone. That was more a matter of study, practice, and shrewd guesswork. All the same, it was as much an honest man's labor as any other, and he deserved the wages he carried home at the end of a day. Yeah, connectivity between the light and the reality of this astrologer. Because of such a kind of bewildering, means confusing crisscross of light rays and moving shadows, what was happened? It was having dim culture, not that much clear, which can visible the facial expressions of anyone, and especially at night time, and different kinds of, especially at night time, and different kind of light rays were there. Here it is mentioned, this suited the astrologer very well. Why? The reason activity is ready for you. There was a simple reason behind it, that is, he had not in the least intended to be an astrologer when he began life. He never wanted to become astrologer in his life. And not only that, but further, what is drastic reality? He knew no more of what was going to happen to others than he knew what was going to happen to himself next minute. So he was not knowing anything. By this line you can understand he was a, yes, he was just only having the mimic or having the disguising of astrologer. He was not the real astrologer, or he had gone through the astrology, the study of astrology. It was the reality that he was just only the simple person like his client. He was as much a stranger to the stars, stranger to the stars. Here it is mentioned of astrology, because astrology means, yes, I mentioned that particular meaning in my second lecture when we have gone through the discussion of title itself. Astrology, it is dealing with the study of stars, planet, and the impact of all of them on our life, on man's life or human's life. So he was as much a stranger to the stars as were his innocent customers. Yet he said things which pleased and astonished everyone, and he was having such a kind of magical power that whatever he was saying that was pleasing to the next person, and definitely a surprise element was also there. Why? There was one cause. What's that? It is not only one, but what? That was more a matter of study. He was studying, practicing, and sure guesswork was also there. So study, practice. You may get surprised that just now I mentioned that yes, he was not going through the astrology and all that study. So he was studying what the people, how they behave, how they talk, and by that he was making his judgment. So he makes the study of people themselves, practice of that, making the practice of that, and he was having guesswork. And how was the guesswork? Sure, he was excellent in judging what is going on in the next person's mind. And because of that, it is said the last line. What is said? All the same, it was as much an honest man's labor as any other, and he deserves the wages he carried home at the end of a day. Just now we have seen the reality that he was not the real astrologer, and he was pretending. A kind of anger at our heart means we are the readers, so obviously we are having the anger, little anger at our heart, so that is vanished by the particular line that what's that, he was studying well, practicing, means he was not very loyal to his job. Ironically, he was very loyal to his job, and because of that, if suppose we are saying that an honest man is deserving his wage, what that means? Salary, the money at the end of the day. That honest man, suppose one worker is there, coolie is there, at the end of the day, whatever the salary or money or wage he is collecting, that is, yes, he deserved, because for the whole day he is offering his labor. Similarly, R.K. Narayan, he is saying that astrologer was very honest to his job. He was studying, practicing, and his guessing was perfect, and he was too much. His judging was too much, and because of that, he deserves whatever. He definitely deserved that, whatever the wages he was collecting at the end of a day. By that way, students, today we have completed the very first passage of an astrologer's day. I am sure that each and every student of mine is ready enough to solve the activities. Yes, I should not miss that. I have designed some activities for you. After this particular slide, you will get the activities. Also, I will send you these activities to our WhatsApp group, which is created by our college, so that it can't you definitely would not get any kind of difficulty to solve that, because I know that to watch the video and making that staple and zooming that image, it is too difficult for you. But to have the completion of this video in thorough level, I have joined the slides of activities too here. But also I will send these images or slides of the activities to the WhatsApp group of our college. So already we have formed that, so definitely it is easy for you to get that. So it's your job to complete the homework. You have to show me the icebreakers too, and this particular passage 1 activities. So here they are, the activity slides. All the activities are discussed by me in today's video, so it could be very easy for you to deal with. No doubt I have attached your grammar. No doubt I have not talked or discussed on that, but because already we have discussed grammar part, that is change the voice or identification of tense or identification of relative clause at 11th standard, or not only but also. So that's why I haven't touched up that today. Just only I have concentrated on the explanation of each and every line, activities, and also I have touched up vocabulary section too. So I think it is very clear to you to get each and every activity's answer. So as we have completed this activity section, now I will have the recap of today's passage 1, so that you will get once again the revision of what we have dealt today. Passage 1, we have gone through the loud reading. We have gone through the vocabulary part, and while explaining each and every line, I have given you enhanced meaning too. First of all, we have completed this part in such a singular line manner. Here we have gone through the images which are indicating the answers. Professional equipment, first answer. Second, third, Palmyra writing. Here the same one. Image of astrologer carrying professional equipment. The next part we have gone through, that is personality and the impact of his personality on his client. We have specifically seen the images of vermilion. His forehead is painted with sacred ash. Whiskers, what's the meaning of whiskers? Also I have pointed. Next one, that is turban having saffron color. We have then gone for the next line, that is related his placement. It was called remarkable place. Why it was? Because of flanking. The particular word we have seen. Meaning in detail, meaning I have given to you by giving family example to you. Then we have seen remarkable place answer. Half answer is on the previous page, and here it is also located. Later on we have gone through the particular activity that's related to variety of trades and occupations. I also mentioned the formatting. They may ask you the weight formatting for it, and to give you the specific idea of it, I have shown you the images. Medicine seller, magician, then seller of hardware and junk, such a kind of hardware and junk, or auctioneer of cloth sheet and vendor of fried groundnut. Both of them were the real creators of noise or din. Also I have given you the total real how to utter the word vociferousness. Then we have gone through this particular part where it is mentioned that light arrangement, the word enchantment also we have gone through, flare also we have gone through, light sources we have gone through, and the impact of was that bewildering crisscross of light rays. So yes, transacted because of this. Man, flares, the meaning also we have seen. Enchantment, in fairy night you could understand. Light sources, these are shop lights, naked flares on the poles. Then these are old cycles carrying bulbs or lamps, and this is impact of all this, that is crisscross or bewildering crisscross rays and moving shadows. After that we have gone through the last part, but not the least, why the light arrangement was useful for our astrologer, that is mentioned over here. And our passage is ended with what? Yes, he was deserving his wage. Why? Because he has given study, practicing and shrewd guesswork to his job. No doubt he was unknown to astrology, but he was dealing with that job honestly. Then we have gone through the activities. I mentioned that I'll definitely send you these two WhatsApp group of ours. And hence we have to say goodbye, and we are coming with next passage very soon. Till then, stay home, stay safe, my dear students.
Huh?